Nothing to it after you make 100 mistakes, and then it's a lot easier.
Well, the first house I ever did, which was a long time ago, was pretty complicated.
We're gonna go to
I
the
couldn't
next
see it,
section.
I just could not go into the front. I got it down now. Okay, so anything about materials? Because the thing I find with carpentry is that it's a lifelong learning in this trade, because there's so much technology and so many new products that every single day something new is on the market, right? So what my approach is to try to get a general concept of it, and then new stuff just fits into the old concept.
Yeah.
Just one point about the board, I don't know, but there's two types of board, square edge and tongue and groove,
That's
right?
Oh, there's
people-
many types.
right,
Yeah.
so some
There's,
people-
tongue and groove is. There's tongue and groove, T and G, male, female, and this one here.
And I mention that because sometimes if you're going to go take the clapboard out of the house, that's the type of board you're gonna run into, T&G.
There's many edge treatments. See what this for? You can use shiplap. Water can't get in there. Water goes in there, it has to fight its way uphill. So it would be put on. You wouldn't put it backwards, right? And tongue and groove is just another form, adding strength and prevents insects and drafts from coming up through your. Once upon a time that was extremely popular. Now you can hardly ever get T&G.
And now you can get that in plywood or OSB, everything, right?
Yeah, there's many different treatments of the edge, of the profile. There's hundreds and hundreds of profiles, and that's all personal. That's a subjective what you like to look at. But the practical, it's like when you're cutting a board for the outside. You're doing a corner board. This is exterior. This is interior. When you cut that, you should cut it like that. Always remember the way water is. If you cut it this way, now when the water comes down the wall, it can enter the house. So when you're doing trim on your corners, you always cut with a miter, and you put it so water can't come back. And
That's why I put clapboard on too. I have 45 my clapboard.
there's rules on clapboard. Clapboard, for anyone who doesn't know, is this.
Oh, clapboard.
That's clapboard. That must be 1 1/4 inch to overlap. That's called lap. Must be 1 1/4 inch lap. Stuff like that. And in clapboard, when you nail this, when you nail clapboard, here's the way it's supposed to be nailed.
We will go to a section about the outside, in the future class. We will do outside exterior materials, roof. That's in the future class.
So how you determine where you put your nail in clapboard, if anyone is doing it here, you always put the nail just above that one. Do not put it in the nail should, this is good, that's wrong. Don't go through two. If you go through the two of them, when it shrinks and swells, it'll split. One nail, and you put it just above where the underneath one ends.
Yeah.
And that's how you're not supposed to put two nails, nail through the two clapboard at the same time. Because this one wants to shrink and swell. If there's a nail there's a nail here too, right? If this one wants to shrink and swell, it can't, because the two nails got it pinned, and it'll split. That's why when you're driving around, you see splits in clapboard. It wasn't nailed properly. Same thing with vinyl. When you are applying vinyl, the vinyl hangs off the nail. The nail doesn't keep the vinyl on the wall. It keeps it from falling. So the nail is supposed to be
vinyl
a little loose.
屋顶是 roof，跟这个差不多。
Anyway, okay.
Okay. Let's go to tools. Next section will be tools. Let's start with the hand tools.
Okay, so
Measure tape. Do we have measure tape? Yeah.
okay.
Big one.
Okay, so let's just talk. The thing about a measuring tape is this is very important right here. This must be 90-degree angle, right here. That must be 90. If that is bent, you will not get an accurate measurement. right?
Mhm.
Because if it's bent in, it'll be less. If it's bent out, the measurement will be more. This moves back and forth the thickness of itself. So that's for doing outside. If I want to measure something, I can do an outside measurement, or right, and that pulls out. And then if I want to do an inside measurement, it pushes in. You see? That's why that moves back and forth. This is for outside, that's for inside,
它会活动，在头是活动。
right? If that's broken, and you'll break it by doing that too many times, then what a lot of carpenters do is they'll use a number here as their starting point for measuring. Just make sure the guy on the other end doesn't forget that he has to add whatever thing is, right? But so that's the weakest part of the tape, and that's the most important thing. If that's bent, you're not getting an accurate measurement. So if I'm here laying out my wall, and Lionel is on the other end of the house with his perfect tape, and I'm here with a bad tape, we won't line up. And not only that, but if that's 1/8 of an inch, the first stud will be off by 1/8. The second stud will be off by 2/8. The third stud is off by 3/8. And now when you go to put your panel up, it's not going to hit the stud.
We've
Right?
been finding lots of that in some of the refits.
And these things lead to big problems, but they're just very small reason for it. It's not so that's the purpose of that. And then when you're using the tape, every 12 inches is a black arrow. 12, 24, 36, 48, all black arrow.
Yeah.
For
Black
12 inch center. And then 16s are always red. 16, 32, 48, 64, so on to 80, 96.
Black and red.
But, and they are for different spacings, so you don't make a mistake. And also, some carpenters are illiterate. Because a lot of the people in the trades, the reason why you choose the trade, a lot of the reason behind it is because you don't have the aptitude to do math. So you need all the help you can get. And now they have a 19.2. See, that's the little dot, that's 19.2, and then when you come to 38,
Black
there's a
diamond.
little black diamond.
What that mean?
And, okay, so where that comes from is now we use TJI joist. TJI joist.
TGI joint. I
I'll
know
show you.
Yeah.
What do I do with that pen?
Here.
Oh, I dropped it there.
Hey.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, so because there's a new product on the market, and what that product is, and you'll see it now in a second because we'll have it on a flange and web. Okay, so that's a TJI joist. This will be OSB, and that's 2 flanges of wood. We'll have it up now in a second. But because this is so much wider, because they can be anywhere from 1.5 inches to 3 inches in width. Now what happens is the industry now is going with, there used to be 12-inch spacing on center, and 16 and 24, and now there's 19.2 because you have such a large bearing surface, you don't need so many of them in the same space. So now you can separate these things up to 19.2 inches apart. Because there's such a wide flange that there's support for the panels. Okay, so and that's what we just explained. There's your, every foot is black, and then every 16 inches is red, and then there's 19.2 for every 19.2 inches. And then the tape is broken down into increments. In this case, this is a 16th with the 8 smart. In most carpentry application, an 1/8 of an inch tolerance is acceptable. So if you're out an eighth, that's okay. Like when you're
1%，
framing.
如果你就是误差在1%就行。这个尺子都是16，最高是32进制，但是它基本上是16进制的。1 inch 是16分 ，so 1 inch there's a 16 part. It's not 10 part. Right? It's not a metro system. Yeah.
Yeah. So
你不要
different
换，
different
先不要
things.
换，先不要换，一会儿就乱了。
Yeah. So if I'm building a stairs,
Who are you?
stairs are very, very, very detailed, very particular. So a tolerance of a 32nd is what you aim for when you're building a stairs. If you're framing walls, you can put up with a tolerance of an 1/8. Means if I cut one stud and then I cut another, and they're supposed to be 96 inches, 95 and 7/8 is accepted. No more difference than that. 1/8.
最大的误差就是
Unless some
8%。
variance for the size of the king's foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything
Yeah,
else
so
I
one
can say about
foot.
the measure? Oh, yes. And when you're buying a measuring tape, it's a good thing that you buy it somewhat wide and stiff, because if you're working alone, you like to be able to measure and hook onto your joist. So I like to go like this, hook on it round, and hook the joist without having to go over there. So a nice thick tape, good tape, you should be able, just watch, should be able to stretch it out like that without it bending.
Yeah.
So when you're buying a tape, and when you're using a tape, don't let that come back furious. Like, don't let it slam, because you can break this. So when it's back so far, slow it down. Just push it in like that, and don't hold your finger right there. Do not have it, because it'll cut your finger really quickly, right?
Yes.
Okay, so and of course, you must know how to transfer and be able to
We do that.
go from imperial to metric.
We've been trained with a metrial system, and we are here. Come here is use the imperial. I myself had a huge problem at the beginning how this works.
Yeah.
Can you basically explain how it works?
Yeah. So Canada, okay, why we went to metric is that we were trying to have a global measurement that all countries use. So in transporting stuff overseas and by air and by freight, we standardize shipping arrangements. And so Canada joined the UK, and we went metric, but the states did not. The Americans wouldn't change. They are imperial. So we do a lot of trade with the states. So Canada, what it did was, okay, so we'll have two systems. We'll go metric and we'll go imperial, because in fact we use them. We're trading with the states in imperial, and we're trading with UK, Japan, and everyone else in metric. So we're wishy-washy in that regard. So that's why there's two measuring systems. The only thing about that is when we buy panels from the United States, that's an imperial panel. And if we buy panels from Europe, then that's a metric panel, and they're not the same size.
So we have to be.
So we had to live with it.
Yeah, we have to be, in mindful, the difference.
And builders have to be mindful, because if you're getting a plan, a house plan, and you buy it from a Canadian firm, that's going to be in metric. But if you buy a plan, say you go to the drugstore and you get 50 plans in the book, they are all in imperial.
就是英制和公制的区别，大家就是自己花点时间看看。
长度还有重量也是。
重量也是，对。
重量是。
Just to show you, on the back of the code book, they give you what they call a soft conversion, and this is the factor you can use for differences between imperial and metric in your house construction, and if you use this, that soft conversion, then we'll all end up cutting things the same length. Whereas you notice here it says 1 meter is 3.28, 1 inch is 25.2 millimeters. Whereas what the code book says, use when it comes to millimeters, use 25, and that way right there,
Yeah.
and that's your soft conversion
Yeah.
factors. So in construction, if you're doing soft conversion, or if you're taking a metric plan and making it into imperial, or if you're taking the imperial plan and you're turning it over to metric, then this is the conversion table that they allow for that change.
因为有分数的原因，它不可能完全准确，就是说它就是一个 software， 就是说就是约数，就是1 inch 等于25那个毫米，就1 inch 等于2.5厘米。What's can you give us a ballpark, like for example, how this is like a 10 inch? No, 7, 8 inch. You think? You know, just an estimate.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you know,
But,
it's-
okay, so what is
it's-
this?
for example, give us the
So
example.
8 is, that's, oh, like a metric, you mean? or-
No, in the imperial.
Well, that is 7 3/4 inches.
Yeah, okay, 7 3/4. So 大概就是这个，就是 that's and in the metric.
In the metric, okay, so if I'm looking at now this one only has imperial measurements.
Oh, okay, only
Okay,
imperial.
that's
That's
and I'm glad you brought that up. So when you're buying a tape, what you should buy is a tape that has, you got a tape on you there?
Yeah, here's mine.
Do you have is yours metric and so this will be the better tape to buy. That's the better tape because he by looking at that, if you look at 16 inches, you know that 16 inches is 450 millimeters.
对，
See right. So there's 16, and if you look 400 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 405 millimeters. See right across.
Yeah.
And that's metric. This is imperial, and that's the conversion right there. There's what one means. 30, like for instance, 24 inches is 610. 610 millimeters. Follow that? And that would be the better tape. Whereas in this one, you only have imperial, and it's broken down into fractions. The thing is, you got to be able to read those marks, those graduations. So this is broken down into 16ths. So each of those marks is 1/16. 16 1/16, 16 2/16, and which is 1/8, 3/16, 4/16 or a quarter.
And also when you read the measure tape, we cannot see a 16 inch, 16.5 inch. You have to see a 16 inch 1/8.
Yeah, at 1/8.
That's
Yeah,
very important.
So, yeah.
You know, there's not
So that like
point
right there,
something.
that's 16 and 3/16. Right here, that's 16 and 5/8.
5/8.
就是没有 point，没有那个
Real
点儿。
point. So you will read the measure tape in the
我们说这个5点几毫米，
不行，不能这样说，就
不能按照国。
You have to see you know, you can't see here. You can't see like 1.1 inch, 1.1. You have to do 1 and
10进制。
1/8. You have 1/8.
是10进制。
1/4. 3/8. 5/8. 3/4. So you gotta improve your English level. You know, I had I take me a very long time to know this. I mean, for us, this is difficult.
And when I'm teaching students and they have to change fractions to a decimal, look out then.
Take a little bit time, you know, go to do your homework to familiar with that. Okay, we move forward to other tools.
Okay, so this is a speed square. Okay, so this is what they call a speed square. That's usually used for laying out angles on rafters, on roofing members, and that's and when we do work of that, it's a very complicated thing to explain to you at this level. But it's used for making square, and what a lot of people use it for is a guide for pushing their circular saw. Make sure they got a true a true 90.
哎呦，在上。
Okay.
His answer?
Oh, here.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So how a lot of carpenters use this now is they'll take this, hold on, put it right here, and then use that as a guide to push their saw so they have a perfect cut. But you can check things for square, like is that square? Yes, perfect. Is it square across? Perfect. And what you do is if you're cutting a roof, this one here, and if I was in a 4 on 12, and I know this is going to be complicated now, this line here is for common rafters, that there is for hip rafters. So if I wanted a 4-on-12, I would move that right here. So there's that angle there, that means that's a 4-on-12 plumb cut. Have you ever heard that? 6-on-12, so on and so forth. What that means is, all that means, that gives you a cut. When I say 4,
你还没到这么高的级别，这是做屋顶的时候，切最后那一块的时候做这个，这是比较精细的工具了。
So that would be a 6-on-12, and therefore, if I wanted to cut that, that would be plumb. That would be a 6-on-12 plumb cut.
你要这个斜角二给切
And all I do is I take this, put this here, 6-on-12. This is your pivot point. There's your rise. I put that to 4-on-12, and that I mark that, and that would be 4-on-12. That means that for every foot this goes across, it rises 4 inches. And if I was to hold that like that, then at that point that would be plumb.
And what plumb means is fits.
Plumb is level,
It just means it fits.
vertically
Just
perfect.
different terminology.
Yeah.
Yeah, plumb means vertical.
Plumb is
No, it means it
vertical.
fits.
And level is level.
Yeah, that was okay. Yeah, this one.
And okay, so this tool is this one is the framing square is the big one, and this is and this was developed. Yeah, and this is a T. That's a T square. That's not a framing square. That's a T. That's for cutting drywall.
Yeah.
Right, for measuring cutting drywall or gyprock.
House.
Are you guys still good? You want to take a break? You're good? Good? Continue?
Okay, so just go back.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's tool there. That's about, I'd say that was probably invented 500 years ago. And basically, I won't get into everything about it, but I know this tool. And it was made, it was like a very, very early calculator. And it has measurements and scales etched into it. And
Before the calculator event,
Yeah.
the carpenter used this one to do a calculation.
And so that, but now, and that's a shop tool. But you wouldn't bring that to the building site that's too big and clumsy, because it's so big. It's 24 inches this way, and it's 16 inches that way, and so that would be, say, for in the shop when you're fabricating trusses or you're cutting stuff to go to the site. This is the same tool, same purpose as that one. It's just that it's more convenient, and you can put it in your tool belt, and you can go up on the roof and manipulate it without getting in your own way. Whereas that's just too big and clumsy. And the other thing about it is too, you don't want to drop it or damage it, because then it loses its accuracy.
And you also never store them on a high shelf, or it'll come down and cut your head when it falls off.
Well, it can do that.
For you. Learn that one.
Level.
Okay, so levels are referred to as spirit levels, and what they are is this is the level right here. So when you're checking this level, what you do is you hold it against something, and it's plumb, and then if you want to check to see if it's reading, it should do the same thing this way, which it does. So this is accurate. And then you do the same here. You check it this way, and you turn it over and lay it. It should have the same reading. And that's how you read for accuracy. What it is that there's water with an air bubble. And of course, water seeks its own level. And therefore, so that bubble must be between those two black lines in order to be level. Now, in the summer, when it's warm, that bubble will be bigger because air expands under heat. And in the winter, that will be smaller. So what you do when it gets bigger is you have to eyeball the bubble and make sure it overlaps those two lines the same amount on both sides. You have to do a judgment call. And I had a student one time asked me a question: how can you measure level when the horizon isn't level? right? Like how can you say something is level? The world is round. Well, how level is obtained is that first you do plumb, and plumb is gravity, right, pulling the plumb out. So when you do plumb with a weight, that line goes right to the center of the earth, and level is 90 degrees to that.
为什么它会是水平的？就是因为你先找到重的。
You know, so when you're looking at the horizon, no, the horizon isn't level, but a level, a 90-degree line to a plumb line is perfect. That's why when you set up your transits or any of these tools, you make sure it's level, plumb, and then when you shoot a level line, it's 90 degrees to plumb.
plumb 就是竖直。
就是在没有这个水平尺之前那个限制。
限制对。
哎，
这个三角形的那个
限制，对对对对。
Okay, so if you are rough with these, they can go out, they can lose their accuracy, and you can replace the vials. There's 2 little screws in each one, and that locks the vial in, so they're movable. The higher the quality, the more easily it is to manipulate it. And so, like, if you break that, you can replace it. And in some places, they put not alcohol, like an alcohol in there as opposed to water, because it doesn't freeze. Because if you're out in the really cold, like I worked in Fort McMurray, northern Alberta, and sometimes we pick up the level and the bubble wouldn't move because it's frozen. It gets cold at minus 37. I'll tell you how cold it gets. When you spit, it's ice before it hits the ground. It's amazing. Ooh, and I worked there.
Yeah.
Outside. Okay, so what you're looking at there is a chalk line. It's a container filled with chalk, and there's a string that's pulled through it.
We don't have it.
You don't have one? Okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, so this is used for snapping lines, and the way to snap, when you go to snap a line with the chalk line, a big mistake by a lot of people is they overload the chalk line, and then when it's snapped, it's a big old wide ugly line. So don't overload. You fill it. You about 2/3 fill it up with chalk. Shake it. Shake the thing. Make sure it stays dry.
Yeah.
And when you,
I have one. I can give you, some for left side. We need this.
we don't have one here now, though.
Yeah,
do
we
we
in the storage room, and I
Okay.
have one too.
Okay, the biggest thing though,
We need this one
the biggest mistake made
for the basement.
when
We need
you
this
haul
one.
that string tight, you got to haul it tight. Make sure it's tight. If it's strung out for a long distance, just hold it down. Don't hold it down like this. Put your finger directly down and hold it, and then snap. And then same thing here, snap. But your snap has to be perfect. It cannot be like this. You must snap directly above. Directly. Because if not, you're not getting a straight line.
Yeah.
And that's about all you can say. But oh yes, and I have something else to say too about this.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a little slot in this here. You see that slot? And what that's for? See the little cut there? Okay, so what happens is when I'm measuring, I'll tap a nail down. And do we have a nail anywhere?
Maybe no.
Okay, so so if I'm measuring from here to there, I'll tap a nail and better still. If I was measuring along the plane,
I got a screw.
It's great.
okay, I'll just show you the screw.
Yeah, it's a great.
And what it's used for. So what happens is you're working by yourself, so you'll tap a screw or a nail down, and that's where that goes.
Oh.
That's the reason for it.
Yeah.
That's all. Right, so now you can work alone and not lose your purchase, right? Your purchase.
Good, yeah.
Right? That's the purpose of that. See, everything matters. Everything has been engineered. Everything. Every tool. There's a reason behind every single thing. It's amazing, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and of course, boring and cutting.
You want water?
I had one. I'll take it. Boring and cutting.
钻头是吧？
Yeah.
There are many. Okay, so as you can see, there's a drill bit and a screw tight for every purpose. every purpose. But the important thing is though, is to be able to recognize when these tools are dull and when they're not cutting right. When these, if this gets dull, what'll happen is when you contact the surface, it won't go in, it'll slide. If you ever use a dull speed bit, this is a speed bit, if you're trying to drill in straight, it has a tendency to wander. And if it's sharp on one side and dull on the other, it'll go off. It'll go towards the sharp side. So your hole won't be straight. You're drilling, and this is one thing to go over here because it's dull.
Yeah.
And so part of the course is to show you how to sharpen those. So and it's very easy, but I can show you all it is get a grinder and you gotta. I'll explain it to you another time.
Yeah,
Not
not today.
No.
The main thing is you have to know like different sizes of the drill.
That's right.
And to make sure you need to know what's the hole you're gonna drill, and select the right size, and then you don't need to go back and forth.
Yeah. So what I do in my shop, and it'd be a good habit for you fellows, is that if you're using bit and screws, try to use the same screw head, and therefore you can use the same bit. Like there's nothing worse, say, than going to a door, like here.
What's the size of here?
And say this one is a Robson, that one's a Phillips. I don't know if you've ever. So what I do is I get all number 8s.
Number 8.
Yeah, and I get the bit that fits it, and that way then I'm never without, and so on and so forth. Right?
Number 8. Okay, you're gonna explain the numbers later, but not right now. Can you show us what's the purpose of this? Because we got a couple.
Okay, so this is an all-purpose bit. It's called a spade drill bit, and it's all-purpose. Like they're inexpensive and they're very rapid to do. Bore a hole.
Okay, so straight drill bit. Yeah.
This one here is a spin off from this one. This is called a Forstner bit. This makes a flat bottom hole. This is used mostly in application with European hinges.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, it makes a flat bottom hole. It's good for in furniture making, cabinet making in particular. These are for drilling for dowels. They're sized to be the exact size of manufactured dowels. Dowel is a long, round piece of wood, like a spindle. This brad point drill, but this is for wood, and it has a really sharp point, so it's made for
this is for wood. Black one. They usually go with black, right?
Yeah,
for
but
wood.
you see, there's a point on that, a brad point on it, and what that allows, if you have a really small mark and you want to drill a hole right there, that little point will
go in first,
stab into that, and then you'll drill perfectly. Whereas this one right here has a tendency to wander.
Yeah, is this a wood drill too?
Yeah.
Both of them wood drill.
Okay, so twist drills can be used for wood and or metal.
Yeah. Metal. But center punch first for metal.
Yeah. This is wood only. These are auger bits, and that's wood. Do not use those in a drill press. And if you do use those, you can't pull it out because it has a screw head. The gimlet, the very top of that, it is like a screw, and it's threaded. So when it goes in order to come out, you have to reverse your drill.
Yeah.
If you don't put it on reverse, it won't come out unless you damage it. This is a very aggressive cutting tool. It's based on the same engineering as this one right here, but it's done. It has more aggressive cuts.
This one cut for the concrete holes.
Yeah, and these ones here, that's for reaming and. This is not a carpentry tool here.
Yeah.
This is more. This is metalworking. Machinists would use that one. And the same way here. This is a machine.
Metal.
This is for metal and steel,
Yeah, this one
That's
good.
it right here.
Counter.
This is for doing. This is for cutting and countersinking screws below the surface of
This
the
is a
wood.
very important, guys. We're gonna use this more
Yeah.
often.
So
The
this
counter
makes
screw.
this makes everything. This makes the hole for the shank, the hole for the tapered screw, and also for the head, all in one.
Yeah.
One.
So he drill in, and you got hold everything. You know, when we go to a screw section, and it got flat, the drill just go in. I saw this one when they installed our cabinets.